This week's Smackdown Live, the Smackdown Live roster found out that Payback is a bitch. This is Smack Talk Wrestling Reviews, and this is the Smackdown Live review. For the opening segment of SmackDown this week, we had Shane O'Mac rallying the troops backstage, getting them pumped, getting them ready to take down Raw at Survivor Series, and it was an absolutely amazing segment. He had pretty much most of the SmackDown roster backstage, pretty much stating, look, Sunday, no matter what happens, we're a team, we're going to prove everyone we're not the B show, we're the show. Fantastic. This is what you want from your commissioner. You don't want someone coming out and pretty much belittling every single member of the GM, to the stars, anything like that. You want your commissioner to rally. Shane O'Mac, for me, perfect commissioner for SmackDown. Absolutely does the job perfectly, and everyone loves him, and you still love him to this day. Absolutely fantastic way to start the show, and that carries on to what happens for the first real segment of the show, which was Daniel Bryan's return to SmackDown Live. Obviously, we saw Daniel get attacked by Kane a couple of weeks back now. This is his return, and Daniel Bryan, absolutely, mic skills amazing again, brilliant. Pretty much saying, I bleed blue. This is my brand. I believe in it. I believe in the stars in the back. I believe that this isn't just a B show, that this is an amazing show, that this show and the stars make this show amazing. And to be honest, this just shows how good Daniel Bryan was on the mic. You know, if Daniel Bryan ever returns, his mic skills are going to be he's going to be one of the best talkers in the company again. And it's great to see him getting that opportunity to do promo work like that. It was awesome. It made me feel nostalgic to have Daniel Bryan back in the ring again. We all know with his injuries, might not happen, but this was a great promo. And he introduced the new WWE champion, AJ Styles, and he did the advocate bit. He did the Paul, you know, Daniel Bryan did the Paul Heyman bit, and AJ Styles just loved it. The crowd loved it. The fans loved it. It was an amazing segment to have for the start of the show. It definitely built up the AJ Styles Brock Lesnar match and Survivor Series in one. And for people who are like umming and ahhing about getting a, you know, WWE network, definitely get it for this. It just, the show, the Survivor Series show, just looks amazing. And yeah, perfect way to start the show. The Shane O'Mac part and the Daniel Bryan segment, amazing. Good way to start the show. Which moves us on to the first match of the night, which was Baron Corbin versus Sin Cara for the United States Championship. This was a great way to get the show started, and to be honest, surprisingly, it was a decent match. I know what you're thinking, Baron Corbin having a decent match. I know he's definitely upped his skills since his time working with AJ Styles. I think that has helped him a lot. His work ethic in the ring definitely improved. Sin Cara is that perfect opponent. He can do a lot of the work in the ring for him. And to be honest, it was a good match. It was probably one of Corbin's better matches I've seen on SmackDown Live. He definitely earned that position of being the bigger, strong heel type, which does work for him. I can, you know, as a lot of people know, he's very much enjoys that style. But yeah, I think now that we know it's Corbin versus The Miz at Survivor Series, definitely looking forward to seeing how that evolves for Survivor Series, because I'm looking forward to that match now. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Corbin competes against someone like The Miz, who's very, very much a talented wrestler in ring as well. This moves us on to our second match of the night, which was also a title match. This was for the women's SmackDown Women's title match between Natalya and Charlotte. Now, this was an absolute amazing match on paper, but realistically, it was quite clunky. It didn't feel as polished as previous matches, because don't forget these two women have fought each other quite a lot in recent times. Before they did the brand split, Natalya was #1 contender for the Raw Women's title, when she was a babyface, and the matches they had then were a lot crisper. But yeah, this was definitely a good match. Good atmosphere, especially for Charlotte, her hometown hero. The crowd were just wooing. It was you could tell it was very emotional for Charlotte to be there and compete, especially for the title at home. But the match itself was fine. It definitely did what it needed to do. And we have a new women's champion, which is fantastic. Definitely a better matchup now for Survivor Series, with Charlotte taking on Alexa Bliss. That's definitely more exciting than watching Natalya take on Alexa Bliss. But absolutely great, you know, good booking decision for Survivor Series. But the match itself, not the best. It could have been better, but the end bit was, for me, the best part of the whole thing. Charlotte gets an interview with Renee Young. She takes the mic, she says thank you, she says this is what I've been aiming for since I came to Smackdown Live. I know my dad couldn't be here tonight because, you know, for health reasons, but this is for you, Dad. She's walking down the ramp, back up the ramp, holding the title, thanking people, worried, brilliant. And then the Nature Boys music plays, and you can just generally see in her face, she didn't know this was going to happen. I think this was more of a surprise for her. This was amazing. He comes out, Charlotte's in tears, Ric Flair cries anytime, but me watching it, I was like, oh my god, this is real. This is a great way to say thank you to Charlotte for being probably one of the best female wrestlers at the company. Have her father come out and celebrate her first SmackDown title. Just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I loved it. It was that was the best part of that whole match. Getting to see Ric Flair, and especially in his hometown, the crowd just went mental. For Charlotte's win and to see Ric Flair, perfect. Then we had a singles match between Jimmy Uso versus Chad Gable. It was a decent match. Chad Gable, I like the new aggressive Chad Gable. Very much so. The crowd was very much behind the Usos. This is definitely showing that you can tell that WWE are considering a face turn and a heel turn for Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin to turn heel and the Usos to turn face again. Not sure how I feel about it. As long as the Usos can keep up that kind of attitude they've had since turning heel, I would be fine with that. But the match itself, very, very aggressive towards Chad Gable, looking very much heelish throughout the match actually. Very much working on Jimmy's leg, and that was quite a good tactic. It looks like, you know, I'm gonna get revenge because you guys pretty much took my leg out, and you know, with a little bit of Shelton Benjamin trying to get involved and Jey Uso getting involved. It looked like Chad was in control of the match most of the time, and then Jimmy, super kick, gets the pin, and the Usos get a win for what they need for Survivor Series. But it's definitely making Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable look very much like very strong competitors, and especially if I'm right and they're going to do the double turn, which I expect to happen after Survivor Series. Then we come to the final match of the night, and which is also the biggest part of the night, because it was blowing up social media when I woke up this morning. But my god, first things first, it started off as the New Day taking on Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Obviously going to be a good match. You got Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in that match, and the New Day, probably one of the best tag teams in history. Fantastic, absolutely amazing. It was a good match back and forth. The New Day definitely in more control, but you could see Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn getting momentum and building up. Very, very much a decent match. I would have liked to see how far that could go, to be honest. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn feud with the New Day, I reckon that's what's going to happen after Survivor Series, because especially after what happened during this main segment when the Raw roster invaded SmackDown. It started off with the Shield. The crowd went mental. You could tell the crowd were always looking up. I think there was something going on the stairs before the Shield came out, because you could see the crowd staring at that one spot. And then the Shield music came on. Shield walked down, surround the ring, and there's Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and the New Day ready to take them on. The Hounds of Justice pull themselves up, and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn just roll out of the ring and walk away. Like, this isn't our fight. We're not part of Survivor Series, so we don't care. Leave the New Day, and the Shield just absolutely pounce on them. Then the Usos come out. Then the Bar come out of nowhere, and it's just a brawl after that. You have the Raw roster coming out, and you have the Raw women's team attack the SmackDown women's team in the changing rooms. Good little segment on that was that Charlotte was the last one standing, looking at all the Raw women, and then Alexa Bliss just knocks her out. This is definitely building up Survivor Series quite well. Then Kurt Angle brings out Braun Strowman, absolutely destroys everyone in the ring. Shane O'Mac at that time did have who was in the back for SmackDown come out and try and defend themselves. Couldn't defend themselves, and it was just a great brawl. I mean, the Shield did the triple power bomb on Shane O'Mac twice, so that just proves something. Shane O'Mac is a hard bastard in WWE, and then he gets an angle slam as well, you know, and then you see Raw walk away, and it's a good way to end the show. Definitely makes people want to watch Survivor Series. Not as good as the Siege from SmackDown. I've got to say that was probably the better one out of the two. That definitely looked a lot more intense. This one just looked like, oh, we're just getting revenge and we're going to stay in the ring. The only backstage bit was the women's part, which was the shame, because I thought it would be great to see the Raw roster do what SmackDown did. But no, for me, SmackDown's Siege was slightly better than the Raw one. And there you go, guys, that's our SmackDown review for this week. Definitely the better show to watch for the build-up for Survivor Series. I definitely feel like SmackDown Live sold Survivor Series. Can't wait to see what happens. I'm really looking forward to the men's traditional Survivor Series match and the women's Survivor Series match. That's definitely the highlights for me. AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar. Gotta be main event. It's gotta be, because it's gonna be amazing. That or the men's match is gotta be the main event. Or the women's. To be honest, I would be happy with the women's one. Only one thing I do want to speak of is that they did speak on SmackDown Live women's team that is a spot open. I thought that would automatically go to Natalya after she lost the title, but no, it's looking like there is an open spot. Could that mean a return for someone to SmackDown Live, or does that mean that someone's jumping from Raw who hasn't been featured, who supposedly was going to return this Monday? Could she be jumping to the blue brand? I hope so. But there you go, guys. But there's one last thing I do want to talk about, which kind of annoyed me, and it did take away from the show itself, was that there was a massive segment towards what had previously been happening on Raw, on a SmackDown show. I don't care. It just went on and on, like this had happened, and this siege had happened, and this had happened, and Stephanie had said this, and I didn't care. Not one bit. It wasn't entitled to the show or SmackDown. It was all about Raw, and I thought it just took away from a very, very good show from SmackDown this week. And there you go, guys. I want to hear your thoughts on Survivor Series on the comments below. What did you think of SmackDown Live? Did you think it was the better show this week? I definitely thought it was the better show than Raw this week. And just leave your comments below, and please like, subscribe, and you can follow me on Twitter, at Boise88, and I'll see you guys next time on Smack Talk Wrestling Reviews.